Well met. It is I, Claire, the Oily Witch. I hope you are well and you are getting through this week. This week has been an interesting week. It's been quite a challenging week as the silver birch moon kind of carries on purifying and cleansing as she begins to leave, for we have a new moon on the 29th. And I'll tell you about that another time. But today I wanted to talk about anger. And I'm not sure if I've done anger before. Anger is a kind of, well, it's relative to Mars, which was the video I did, or the recording I did before I did this one. And temperament. And anger is a strange thing. In some cultures, anger is very respected and part of daily life. And in other cultures, anger is feared and to be suppressed at all times. And I would say in British culture, anger doesn't have a particularly welcome place. You should have got control of your feelings. You shouldn't be kind of, projecting your stuff onto other people and all this kind of thing. But anger is a really important emotion. Behind anger is often fear. I mean, it's fear like right back, because everything boils down to love and fear, ultimately, in my view. That's the kind of primary emotions, and then everything else kind of comes on top. And anger is related to fear because if you're angry that someone has taken advantage of you, there's a fear that they have taken your energy, they've compromised your boundaries. If you're angry because someone didn't consider you, then there's an issue of self-worth. There's layers. There's all these layers to emotions, as I'm sure you're well aware. And it's useful to drill down into the layers, and it's useful to have someone to help you to do that. And that is what I do for people, and that is what I go and have done to me by my coach and spiritual guide, so that I can get a kind of perspective into things that I didn't initially appreciate, like somebody to move you on to the next level of understanding. And that's where anger came up for me yesterday in my session. And I was talking about obviously a personal situation and how I felt that I had not been kind of valued, cared for. And so that was all issues of my self-esteem, and the opportunity, as unfair as it was actually just another opportunity guided by spirit for me to work out my feelings in a better way, like work out what was behind this, and also understand that if I truly was living the surrender everything to spirit, would understand that when things didn't come off, it actually had nothing it wasn't because I had done anything wrong, or it wasn't about my self-worth. It was because that was the divine plan all along. And this divine plan is, it's hard to surrender to. There's layers of that surrendering, clearly. And on the surface, one can think one is surrendering, but is one actually living that surrender? And that's very much in my mind at the moment. And I'm percolating through my anger because I have Mars in Taurus. So I have my angry planet in laid back Taurus. So Taurians are supposed to be slow to anger, quite calm beings, who like everything to be quite kind of calm and peaceful. And I said yesterday whenever I did Mars, that Mars hates Taurus. It's like the opposite. Taurus wants to take everything slowly. Mars is like, come on, let's get on with it. But I have an awful lot of fire in my chart. I think fire is my dominant element. So that would mean that fiery people with more fire are a lot more temperamental because they're a lot more passionate. So temperamental in terms of quick to anger, impatient, want everything done now. That's fire. So I have a lot of that. So that would explain why I'm not as calm and laid back as I would like to be. And I do wish I was more calm and laid back. And I hope as I go through my journey, I become more calm and laid back. And I think I was a lot calmer and more laid back before I had children. I think I find the children thing quite challenging. Well, I know I find the children thing quite challenging. And I think what it is the fact that my response is often in anger because I feel like I'm having my boundaries compromised all the time because I'm getting, input left, right, and center. People are changing their stories. People aren't telling the truth. It's like, so I feel a bit scrambled. So that scrambling, that assault on my senses makes me angry because I fear that that I'm stupid or that I'm not quite able to catch up quick enough. And that's probably the Mars bit. And I've also Taurian moon, so it takes me a while to percolate emotions. And if people are coming in making demands of me and it is like that, and my children are really smart and good at getting around me. So it's like, a rabbit in a headlamp. And as opposed to the freeze response, my response is anger. Because I'm like, what's going on? And yeah, behind that is this fear of being stupid, really, of being taken advantage of my boundaries being compromised. I wonder if just even understanding that will help me be slightly more of what I wish to be, which is more calm, or maybe I need to practice self-acceptance and just accept that I'm a fiery individual. Other people don't seem to be able to accept that I'm a fiery individual, but always with things like that, I think one has to lead from the front. So if I accept that I'm a fiery, tempestuous being, then everyone else will be, oh, that's just Claire, as opposed to, you shouldn't be like that, which I get a lot of from key people in my life, a lot of criticism. But then I'm leaving that space for them to do that. Does that make sense? I'm kind of doing some self-explanation, trying to help you have a different perspective and trigger some kind of thinking in your approach to anger. I remember going on this transformational anger course when I was like 26. And what really surprised me there was about 10 of us on this course, and it was transforming anger into something positive, right? There was only 3 of us out of that 10 that were actually openly outward feisty people. Everyone else was the exact opposite. And what I found so interesting was a lot of the women were going bald. And the reason their hair was thinning was because of all this energy here. The thought processes of that passive aggressive anger that wasn't being allowed to be expressed, literally burning into the crown and the brain. And you have to let things out. I'm not saying by expressing your anger you're going to stop your hair thinning, but hair thinning has a lot to do with overheating this area of your body. It's a very kind of, direct, that's a medical astrology link. Just so you know, you can diagnose these things or propensity towards these things. And then there are lovely things you can do with essential oils to encourage hair growth, like rosemary and things like that, which I know all about and is in the Oily Witch Academy under the beauty and skincare e-learning video, which I really recommend. It's very, very good. And it'll give you recipes as well. But anyway, those are my feelings today. I would be interested in your feelings about that, about you, and anger and its place and its value, because it does have value. It's not to be ignored. It definitely has value and it helps you to get things out. It's just you feeling okay with how you're expressing yourself. And that's where the rub is. It's about feeling, it's self-acceptance at the end of the day. I'm going to talk about guilt soon as well. Guilt's a good one.